Today, I'm going to teach you everything about ranks in Uma Musume, how to get higher ones, how they are calculated, where can you get the most points from, what to look out for, why are some players stuck at the B pit, and much more. Let's get started. The main and most important thing we need to do first is starting to explain to you how scoring works with rank. Now, the formula the game uses for your evaluation score at the end of your career that determines your rank is composed of three things. It will look at stats, acquired skills, and your Uma's unique skill level. Let's start with stats. The evaluation points you get for stats are not constant as a 1 point per one stat because the conversion actually scales depending on how much you have in that stat in particular. However, all stat categories are calculated in the same way. Now, to explain this, and as usual, I've not came with my hands empty, and I made a stat evaluation score table based on the amount of stats and rank and how much points it's worth. So for example, if you have 1,000 stat points in both speed and wit, the game will calculate 2,635 for each of them. So 2,635 times 2. Next, we have skills. For skills, it's a little bit more complicated, but stay with me here, as I've prepared a way to simplify it for you so you don't get lost. And if you're still watching, that means you're really committed to Uma Musume, so hit that subscribe button. Now, before we dive in headfirst into skills, there's something you need to understand about skills that have a distance or style condition. Now, skills that have a distance or style condition on their description mean that the skill will only wit check if the conditions are met. So if an Uma is running in a medium race, a distance skill will need to be medium for it to have the chance at activating. And if an Uma is running a style skill, the Uma must be set in that strategy on the pre-race page for it to have a chance at activating as well. Now, when it comes to scoring around skills that are distance and style locked, they have an additive or reductive bonus of which the value is calculated based on the aptitude's rank and the base score value of the skill. So to give you an example and to explain it in more simple terms, think of it like this. If your Uma has a G in the encloser style and you're giving her an encloser skill, before that skill gets calculated in the evaluation score, the base score value of that skill will receive a reductive penalty of minus 30% because the aptitude style of that Uma is G rank. However, if she's got anything above B as A or S, she gets a scoring bonus which is additive for that skill of plus 10%. And the exact same thing goes for any distance skills. So we could say that matching skills to what your horse skill is naturally built to do is how you maximize your score with skills, but just be mindful and don't let that deter you from building an Uma optimally for the champion's meet. And what I mean is never prioritize getting a higher rank over building an optimal Uma that has the best skills for that particular CM meta. And for the third one, we have unique skills. Unique skills also contribute to getting a higher rank, but the amount depends on the level. Now, to level up unique skills during a career, you only got to worry about your fan count during the senior year, being the final year. Or we could say the year that's after the classic year. So here's the visual example, and don't worry, I'm going to go through it with you step by step. If you meet the fan requirement of 60,000 fans for turf or 40,000 fans for dirt in early February, that will trigger the Valentine's Day event that will level up your Uma's unique skill for the first time. Then, if you meet the fan requirement of 70,000 fans plus green friendship with the director for turf or 60,000 fans plus director for dirt in early April, you'll trigger the fans meeting event that will level up your Uma's unique skill for the second time. And finally, if you meet the fan requirement of 120,000 fans for turf or 80,000 fans for dirt in late December, you'll trigger the Christmas event that will level up your Uma's unique skill one more time, and that will be the last time. But hold up, that's only 3 levels. So how do we get our unique skills to level 5 or 6 for more points as shown in this table? Your Uma's unique skill will always have a base level depending on your Uma's star level. I'll repeat that quickly. Your Uma's unique skill will always have a base level depending on your star level. For a 1-star Uma, the base level will be 1. So since she can only do 3 events to level up during the career, that will bring her unique skill to a plus 4 because 1 plus 3 equals 4. For a 2-star Uma, their unique skill starts at a base of level 2. So they can bring it to a level 5 because 2 base levels plus 3 levels during the career equals 5 levels. And when an Uma starts at star level 3 or graduated to level 3 from the previous levels through star unlock, unfortunately the base begins at level 1 again and increases as you increase their star level. That grants you a unique skill base of level 3. And that's where you'll be able to bring your unique skill to a level 6. Now, out of these 3 contributing elements, the one that contributes the most to your final score is stats. And to reach A+, SS+, and simplified it so you can either screenshot it here or download the HD version for free on our Discord. So, with all that in mind, what should we be mindful of when setting the stage with our Legacies support card deck before starting the career? And how can that help us achieve higher ranks and also build outstanding Umas? Well, the easiest way is to stage your career with support cards by following the 2-stat rule, which is 2 types of support cards only. This is very easy when building a sprint Uma like Sakura Bakashin, as you only need to really be mindful of speed and power. But since speed also trains power, and power trains stamina that we don't need for sprint, we can train wit instead, which also trains speed. Now, just as an example, to achieve a high score in sprint, for the support cards, you just need 2 types being speed and wit, preferably 4 speed and 2 wit, as training on speed will also help boost power, and training on wit will also help boost speed. So that's why we are using 4 speed support cards, because we want to also help power keep up. But the 2 stats we're mainly going to focus on is going to be speed and wit. And for the Legacies, it's going to depend on what you have available, but since you are guaranteed to be able to use at least one 9-star Uma from the guest Legacies, as explained in many of our videos, make sure that it's a wit one. And for the other one, it can be power or wit again, or even a mix. Now, what I'm about to say, I found myself repeating across all my videos, and I feel like I've got to repeat it here again, but I'm not saying you're going to achieve these numbers, because for achieving these numbers, you'll need the same Legacies, you would need the same LLB support cards, and have a good understanding on decision making when it comes to the careers and also energy management. And that's also something I'm going to teach you in this video, but you also have to manage your expectations when it comes to your account's output. But if you're stuck at B or B+, you will get to A if you're able to apply the advice from this video. So we just spoke about sprint. Now for A and above in all other distances, such as mile, medium, and long, the goal is to heavily focus on getting 1 stat to 1200, so SS+, and another beyond 1000 to the best of your account's output abilities. Because as we've covered earlier, the more you have in one stat, the better the return for points for your evaluation score from that stat will be. Remember that. The higher one stat is, the better return it is for points for your evaluation score. So if you're spreading things around too much and your account's output can't keep up, you're going to lower your evaluation score output. So try not to focus on training directly more than 2 stats unless you are bond training, because if there's multiple support cards on one stat that you're not particularly after or to focus on, you would still want to train on that because you want to get your support cards up to bond 80 as fast as possible. But that's very situational and also depends on how many are on there or how close you are for bond 80 on a particular support card that you know has great returns for friendship training. So what I'm trying to say is learn which stats bleed into the next and seize those opportunities by rushing your support cards to bond 80 as early as possible so you can take advantage of friendship training ASAP. Now, speaking of friendship training, summer camp is particularly important to take advantage of as it sets all training facilities to level 5 but also fuses rest and recreation together. Now, summer camp happens during the classic and senior year from early July to September and twice for each career with 4 turns. Ideally, you want to make sure that before entering summer camp, you have at least half your energy. But if your mood isn't good, resting immediately as you enter summer camp, if there's no multiple friendship trainings to focus on, will give you 40 energy and increase your mood by 1 level, bringing you back up to great. So there is value in doing that as well if both energy and mood are low and you want to avoid resting prior, as you're exposing yourself to one additional blue condition being night owl that is fixed on resting. And speaking of mood again, it's important to be mindful that your mood is at great during your career, as it does increase your training stat output. So during summer camp is when you should be friendship training the most if the RNG and your energy allows it. But unfortunately, that won't always be the case. And regardless of how things go, you will most likely not have enough energy to friendship train more than 3 times during those 4 turns without exposing yourself to high failure training and having to recoup afterwards, which comes with risks as well. So just keep in the idea that you want to train as much as possible during summer camp, but if your energy is like just below midway and you're at a good mood and not a great mood, and let's say you're on a turn where there's no multiple friendship training but there's maybe 1, there'll be more value for you on that turn to do a rest and recreation to get your mood to great and your energy up to speed for the last remaining 3 turns. Now, just as we spoke about training failure, try not to risk like anything above 20%. That's my advice. Unless the career is going in a direction where you feel like if you don't take these risks, there's just no point carrying on and you might as well give up. So those are things you have to consciously get good at measuring yourself during careers. Another thing that you can be mindful of, and I didn't want to touch on this because I think it might actually stir away the priorities of some players when it comes to staging the Uma's careers with the support cards and legacies, but it's the Uma's passive growth bonus. Most Umas have 2, but some of them even have 3, and all it is that when the Uma trains on that stat, she'll receive more stats every time depending on the percentage. But, and I cannot stress this enough, you shouldn't force yourself to build in the wrong direction or against your Uma's natural distance and career just to take advantage of this. Look at it more as a bonus that if it's fitting your stat goals, it will make things easier, but don't make it a priority. Now, having high affinity with your legacies is also a bonus, but the biggest priority when choosing your legacies is choosing legacies that will help the third priority stat of your Uma keep up with the stats that are supported by your support cards. So if we are building an Uma for sprint and we are focusing our support card spread on speed and wit, we would want our legacies to help power being the third priority stat to help keep up with speed and wit. You'll not get it as high as speed and wit, but it will help keep up. And remember, training on speed also bleeds into power. For the unique skill, securing it for your Umas at its max level depending on the Uma's current limit, as we've covered, is one of the easiest way to contribute to your score. So you want to make sure you put some thought into this whilst approaching the senior year to make sure you're prepared. And for skills, this will depend greatly on your Uma, your legacies, support cards, and if you want to see the points value of each skill, I've added a link to a website in the description for you. One thing I want to say about skills is obviously gold skills will have the most value and contribute the most to your evaluation score. So getting them would be a priority. Be mindful that when it comes to green skills as well, that it's better to pick 2 different green skills rather than doubling up on one of them instead. So now that we've gone over all of that, we can bring it a little bit further and discuss why players are plateauing at B or B+. Well, this is all just because of 3 things. Career RNG, which you don't have control over, your stat spread where you stage the career with your legacies and support cards, which you do have control over, and decision making, which you fully have control over. Now, when it comes to decision making, I know that some creators may like to use the word skill issue for a person that's not making the right choices, but I believe that to be a terrible motivator because it just sets your mindset on proving them wrong. So rage bait, which takes away all the fun from something that's actually just a game. So if you think you're struggling with decision making, you don't have skill issue and you're not bad at the game. You simply never found the right source of information that makes you understand the 3 elements that contribute to your rank and how to use them to your advantage. People who understand how the evaluation scores work didn't find it within the game because it's not there. It's through hundreds of hours of testing from JP and extracting data from the game that is shared on JP sources and conversations that you as a player can't be expected to have or do. And that's exactly what guide creators such as myself are for. So don't beat yourself up about it. Now for career RNG and support cards and legacies, there are an infinite number of circumstances due to how a player chooses to stage their career or what they're building for. And also because every Uma's career follows a different path to the finals. And this means that there's no one-size-fits-all solution to managing career RNG. But limiting risks and making smart choices in addition to all the tricks and tips we've covered in our previous videos will contribute to how well your decision making will be in that career. And let's touch on some more while we're at it that you can try incorporating in your next career. There's a lot of RNG that you don't have any control over, but when it comes to turn RNG, you can make conscious choices. And by that I mean, not every turn with friendship training is worth your energy, and not every turn is worth bond training either. In times like this, you're better off building your fan count that will also help you level up your unique skill prior to the senior year, but you also have to be mindful that the race event will consume energy. So if you are getting past the middle of the energy bar, racing may put you in a position in the next turn where you'll be forced to rest instead, and you may be forced to miss out or even fail an exceptionally good turn for friendship training. But you do have other options, and one of them is wit training, as we've covered in our energy management guide, as wit training is great for stalling or simply skipping a bad RNG turn instead of doing a race that will cost you energy and might put you in a difficult position. But wit training is also a great source of energy when its value over other decisions is understood correctly, because training on wit does not only provide wit, but also speed, skill points, and 5 energy. There are other tools for energy management that you should try to introduce in your career strategically depending on how things are going. Choices around all event types, including, as we've covered in our energy management guide, have a great influence, as some of them will provide a lot of stats and some of them will also provide a lot of energy, and some of them even may provide both, where you'll be forced to choose between the two. And the choices that you're going to have to make in those circumstances are going to depend on your energy bar and how things are going, in particularly with your stats as well. So the bottom line is, Umamusume careers are RNG and decision making driven, but sometimes it will feel like it's more RNG, as you'll find yourself fighting relentlessly with the RNG and constantly having to either stall or make suboptimal decisions to just get to your next turn. And I know that feels like poor value for your time, and it is. But on the positive side, as we've spoken about it in our video about the problems with global for action on feedback, QRLs do exist and will eventually be implemented, but need to be brought in forward as global are on an accelerated timeline. So if you're new to the game and haven't yet come to grasp which stat to focus on depending on the distance and style of your Uma, or simply getting through the career itself, these two guides of mine will help you fix that. That's it. I'm super proud of you for making it to the end of the video. And if you're new here, why not join our Discord server? We've got such an awesome community like we have on YouTube. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This was Static. Remember to have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.